Hey everyone, this is Aubrey from Piece by Piece, and today I have a special guest. This is Princess Leia. She is my 9-year-old blue-nosed Pitbull. So today I wanted to talk to you about my dog's allergies, which she currently still has, and we have not found a solution for her allergies. So we're still in the process of searching for something that'll help her out long-term and actually cure her allergies, not just suppress the symptoms. So I kind of wanted to make this a dog series, just sharing with you what we've gone through as dog owners with our beloved pets, because maybe you're going through something similar with your dog or even your cat, and you kind of just want to know if there's something you can try that might work. But for this video, I wanted to talk about how Leia kind of got to this point of being so just symptomatic with flare-ups all the time. And her allergies used to be seasonal. It kind of seems like where, you know, during certain times of the year, they would get worse and then they would kind of go away and then they would come back with an ear infection. But now, I would say the last 2 or 3 years, they're just consistent. She consistently has allergies. So let me go back and start from the beginning of how I inherited this dog, Princess Leia. So I actually adopted Princess Leia from a family member when she was about, I want to say 2 years old. And it was one of those situations where she was either going to go to the dog pound or I was going to take her. And I knew that because of her age and because of her problems, that if she were to go to the dog pound, they would have euthanized her. Like, I don't think they would have kept her alive. Knowing this, I decided to go ahead and adopt her. And it was very challenging because with her, she not only had health issues, but she also had behavioral issues. So she's a very dominant dog, and it took her a while to figure out that she could not dominate me. And with a lot of training and consistency, we were able to deal with that issue, the behavioral problem, but we still have not conquered the allergies. And now when I inherited her, she had really bad ears. Her ears are cropped, not professionally. Her ears were cropped. It was a terrible job, and it caused her to have a lot of pain, a lot of irritation, a lot of inflammation, a lot of infections in her ears. So when I got her, I took her to the vet, had her ears checked out because they were so red and inflamed and they were crusty. They had like a yeasty smell. They were just horrible. And so when I took her to the vet, they noticed her ears were cropped, not professionally, and they said the job was just horrible. And so they also noticed that the stitches that were used when her ears were cropped was pretty much fishing wire, and the stitches were not removed completely. So when you would put your hand or your finger along her ear, you could feel the stitches still in her ear. And so she had those stitches in her ear for like more than a year, which was causing so many problems with her. And the vet recommended that we put her under anesthesia so that they could remove the sutures because she would not let them remove them while she was awake. It was just too uncomfortable for her and painful. So I had to pay about $500. She had the sutures removed, at least most of them. They weren't able to get all of them. And then they sent her home with antibiotics. And that was the start of her drug journey. And ever since then, she's constantly been battling ear infections, skin allergies, seasonal, continuous, everything. So after that initial surgery, we started noticing she was getting ear infections a lot. So we were trying to wash her ears, and then they would also give us ointment to put down her ear, like an antibiotic cream. And then they would sometimes put her on prednisone, which is a steroid to help with their symptoms. Her other symptoms were itchy paws and an irritated belly and under her armpits. So again, we took her back to the vet, and They gave her more antibiotics, more steroids, more creams, and it just continued like that for a long time. And at this point, Leia, stop it. At this point, I didn't know anything about food allergies or environmental allergies. So we were just feeding her Costco dog food. So the vet recommended maybe I try a different protein. So we went from the Costco dog food to multiple other dog foods that you can get at Petco. We tried chicken, we tried turkey, we tried beef, and nothing helped or made the situation worse. It just was a problem that never got better. And then in 2018, Leia had her biggest flare-up that we'd ever seen. And she was not only flaring up on her stomach and her paws, but she was getting these really nasty hot spots on the top of her head and then also along her back. Her bottom was just completely raw, red, irritated. Her vulva was really irritated too. Just her whole body was just bad, like hot, inflamed, hot spots everywhere. So I took her back to the vets, and of course they give her antibiotics, they give her steroids. And I knew this, at this point, all the research that I had done, I knew this wasn't good. But it was my only options as far as what my vets were doing. So I reached out to a homeopathic vet near me. It actually wasn't near me, it was like an hour away. So I reached out to this vet. She saw Leia. She pretty much thought that her symptoms were a result of a food allergy because a lot of her flare-ups are around her chin, her butt, and her vulva area. So she just assumed that it's probably a food allergy. So she recommended I either put her on a homemade dog food diet, preferably raw, or to put her on the hydrolyzed protein dog food, which my other vets had also mentioned before, but I kind of know deep down that those hydrolyzed protein dog foods, there's no way those are healthy. If you look at the ingredients, it's so processed. And pretty much all the kibble out there is just so processed, and I think that the kibble actually makes the situation worse. But anyway, I decided to just have Leia. Oh, and then it was at this point that we started Leia on Apoquel, which the Apoquel, it did kind of work. She got a little bit better. Her skin cleared up. But she has been on Apoquel for about 3 years now. And it's no longer working. She's getting 1 pill a day, 16 milligrams. And it's just... The sad part is that when we do stop the Apoquel, the situation gets even worse. So the Apoquel works to kind of keep things at bay, but they don't actually make things any better. So when I was giving her Apoquel, I really wanted to find more of a natural alternative to deal with her allergies. So I started researching, I started Googling, looking on YouTube, reading articles, and I came across Dr. Karen Becker, and she works with Dr. Mercola. She kind of collaborates with Dr. Mercola. It helps him on like his different dog products, and she writes a lot of articles on their website. And she predominantly is a homeopathic, more holistic vet. So I do like all of the stuff that she recommends. And again, she also kind of said that the steroids, the antibiotics, the ointments, the kibble, all of those things may work for a short time, but they're not actually curing whatever's wrong with her. So over time, the situation is just going to get worse. But I really had no other options, so I just continued to give Leia Apoquel. And when I started giving her Apoquel, I also started her on a semi-raw diet where I would do like half kibble, half raw, either homemade raw, or I started with the primal raw dog food. Again, symptoms didn't get any worse, they didn't get any better, it didn't help at all. I also tried doing different brands of raw dog food as well as different proteins. I tried rabbit, I tried turkey, I tried beef. I even wanted to try kangaroo, but it's actually illegal to buy kangaroo meat in California for some weird reason. So now I want to get to where we're currently at today. Now we're in 2021, but in December of 2020, my husband and I decided to sign Leia up for some dog training classes because she has a problem with other dogs. She is not dog friendly. She loves people, loves kids, doesn't like dogs. So we signed her up for these classes, but in order for her to take the class, she had to be up to date on some of her vaccines. Now, I'm not talking about rabies because legally you have to be up to date on rabies, but I think it was like the one for kennel cough. I'm not quite sure what it was. I'll try to put the name of it somewhere. So she had to get the vaccine in order for us to take the class. I didn't really think about it, and we went ahead and had her get the vaccine. A couple weeks into training, we noticed that her muzzle was just super red and inflamed. Her butt again was having issues. She was just miserable. Her eyes were just red and irritated. So we took her back to the vet and they gave her a steroid shot, steroid creams. Again, the same thing that always happens every time you go to the vet for allergy symptoms. At this point, Leia was already on the hydrolyzed protein dog food, so obviously, how could this be a food allergy when she's on hydrolyzed food? Which made me think, okay, maybe it's environmental, I don't know. So because the Apoquel wasn't working, the steroid shots were gonna wear off, the hydrolyzed food wasn't working, my vet recommended that I try Cytopoint injections, which is kind of like Apoquel where it stops your dog from itching as much. So with Cytopoint, she gets an injection like once a month, and then from that point on, you can kind of extend it out maybe 6 weeks. It just depends on your dog. So we stopped the Apoquel, started the Cytopoint, nothing happened, her situation got worse. Cytopoint did absolutely nothing for her, which is really sad because it's expensive. Like for her weight, which is 63 pounds, the injections were like $105, whereas the Apoquel that I price matched to Costco is about $60 for a 30-day supply. So that was really frustrating because I thought, okay, Apoquel's not working anymore. Cytopoint, like, that's like top notch when it comes to like allergy shots. And I was really disappointed when it didn't work. So our next option was to get allergy tested through a blood draw. And that was pretty traumatizing because they had to get the blood drawn from her jugular vein. And I almost passed out when they told me that I was going to have to hold her. They actually had another worker like tell me to go outside of the room and they were gonna like draw the blood from my dog. That was not fun. So we paid $610 to get her allergy tested. And when you get allergy tested, there's two options. You can do a blood draw allergy testing, or you can do immunotherapy. Or no. It's called intradermal, I think, which is where they shave the fur and then they inject the actual allergen underneath their skin or in their skin. And then if they're allergic to something, their skin in that particular area will flare up. And that's how you know they're allergic to that particular allergy. So my options were either to get the allergy panel, which is where they draw the blood, or to go find a dermatologist and get the intradermal allergy test. Now, the blood draw was around $500-600, but to get the intradermal testing, it was going to be like $1,000. And we don't have a local dermatologist, so I was going to have to travel like an hour or two just to find a dermatologist. So my husband and I talked about it, the pros and the cons, and we decided to get her allergies tested through the blood draw allergy panel. And our vet went with the company IDEXX, IDEXX. According to her lab results, she was allergic to quite a few environmental allergies and then a few food allergies. She did not show an allergy to any meat proteins like chicken, beef, turkey, fish. She did show allergies to pinto beans, which one of our previous dog foods, I think it was Akana, that one actually had pinto beans, so I don't know. And then she was also allergic to beet pulp, which was in her hydrolyzed protein dog food. And then not food related, but she was allergic to dust mites, storage dust mites, and then just normal dust mites. And when it comes to dust mites, like you can clean and wash their bedding often, but it's kind of hard to get rid of dust mites, you know? Dust is everywhere. And then because she's getting fed kibble, you can't get rid of the dust mites inside the kibble. So once we got her results, I talked to my vet and asked him if we could get some antigen vials made up so she could get immunotherapy. So my vet tells me that he hasn't done that in about 10 years and he's not familiar with it, and advised me to go speak to a dermatologist, which if I would have known that from the beginning, I would have completely skipped my vet and just gone straight to a dermatologist, and it might have actually saved me money, but you learn from those mistakes. Or one tip that I would give you as a dog owner is don't be afraid to shop around for options. Don't just take your vet's word for everything. I would maybe contact some other local vets. I would maybe contact the dermatologist and then start comparing prices, because sometimes your local vets, they are not familiar with allergies beyond just giving antibiotics and steroids. And then I was calculating everything, and if I, from the very beginning, if I would have just gone straight to a dermatologist, then I could have saved myself like $10,000. But no, I went the cheap route from the beginning, which was just giving her medication, hoping like her problem would just go away. And then here I am $10,000 later with the same exact problem, if not worse. So if you can, I would say from the very beginning, and when your dog has continuous allergies that aren't just seasonal, just go to the dermatologist. Don't keep wasting your money on Apoquel, steroids, prednisone, creams, ointments, essential oils. Like all that stuff is just suppressing the symptoms and not actually dealing with why she has allergies in the first place. So now we have Leia's current condition where she's got a lot of irritation under her chin. Her butt is red and inflamed. Her vulva, genital area is red and inflamed. She constantly wants to lick her paws. Her actual body, like her back and her stomach and her armpits, they're fine. Her head's fine. It's just those particular areas. So I recently changed her diet to be half kibble and half homemade raw. For the kibble, I'm using a lamb and rice mixture. That's a limited ingredient dog food. And then for the homemade raw, I'm doing beef, vegetables, rice. And then to make sure she's getting all the right supplements and vitamins, I'm using the Dr. Mercola meal mix. And I will link that down below if you are interested in making your own homemade raw dog food. So that's what she's eating right now. And she's still on Apoquel, getting 1 pill every single day. And she's not getting better. She's kind of miserable. She's just itchy. She's, a little more lethargic. And our very next step right now is to go see a dermatologist. And we actually have an appointment in 2 weeks to see the dermatologist. And I know it's going to be really expensive, because if she does have to also get the intradermal testing for immunotherapy, it's going to be like $1,000. So I'm not looking forward to that. And then I'm also going to be contacting a homeopathic doctor. Homeopathic doctors are doctors that don't necessarily, or they don't use conventional medicine. They find other ways to heal the body, not just to suppress the symptoms, but to actually cure the ailment. So those are 2 things that we're going to be seeking in the future. And if they work, if they're worth the money, I will let you know, and I'll kind of keep you up to date on each process. But right now we're just kind of waiting in a limbo. And before I go, I wanted to share some products that I've tried. Some of them I don't really feel like they made a difference. Some of them they did. But I have tried the Young Living Animal Sense ointment. It's very strong in the smell, and I will usually put that on Leia's feet. It's nice, it's very moisturizing, but it's not like curing her foot allergies. And then I've also tried the Natural Dog Company Snout Smoother, Skin Smoother, Wrinkle Balm. And out of all those, the one that I found really worked for her was the Snout Soother, when she had really chapped nose. The Skin Soother, the Paw Soother, I mean, they didn't make the situation worse, but they definitely did not get rid of her allergies. And then I'm also currently using calendula ointment for her butt and her groin area, which I like it. It's homeopathic and it doesn't seem to make the situation worse, but sometimes those areas will be good when I use it, and then other times they're not, so it's kind of a hit and miss. And I've only been using that for a few days now. Some other tips are to use dog shoes when you go outside, because if it is an environmental allergies, it's best that your dog's paws don't actually touch the allergen. So we use these like balloon rubber dog boots from Petco. So every single time she goes outside, she wears her little booties. She also wears a foxtail mask. That way her face is not like all up inside like a plant. And then every single day we wash the shoes, we wash the mask. Before she goes outside, we also spray her down with the Dr. Mercola flea and tick spray. And then she's also, when she comes in from her walk, we take the booties off, we take the mask off, and then I wash her paws with this like really cool like dog washing product. It's like this little canister where you stick your dog's paw in it and you like swish it around. And then I will normally put some providone iodine. I'm not sure how you say it, but I'll usually squirt that into the water because it's like antibacterial. And then I will wipe her face with a cold washcloth. I'll wipe her face, wipe her butt, wipe her private parts. And then I will also wipe her in between her toes with a with these wipes that my vet gave me, and they're like soaked in some sort of like colloidal silver, I think. So that's supposed to be antibacterial as well, but it's a little bit more gentle than like heavy duty wipes. I've also tried putting Neosporin on my dog, like on her chin area, not in her mouth, so she can't like eat it or anything because that would be toxic. But near her mouth, I'll put it underneath like her chin area, and that has seemed to help. But I mean, again, you can't be on Neosporin forever. Oh, I also bathe my dog once a week, sometimes twice a week, depending on like how she smells. I was using medicated dog shampoo like every single time, but it's just too drying and it strips the hair of the oils. So now I'm just doing the medicated dog bath once a month, and that is Meliseb. And then I am using Dr. Mercola's organic lavender shampoo, which is a very gentle and mild shampoo. So it's just a lot of maintenance. It's a lot of work just to keep her like this. And she's not even doing that well. Everything that I do for Princess Leia is to keep her as comfortable as possible. And like I said, we've been going through this problem since 2016. And we've just come across no long-term solution that really fixes the problem. So my hope is that with the change in her dog food, going to the homemade raw dog food, I'm hoping that change mixed with the dermatology appointment, also with a homeopathic vet, I'm hoping we get some sort of like relief with all of this, but I will let you guys know and keep you updated.